Very good evening on a Wednesday night. Welcome to the West Ham Midweekly. Thank you all for joining me. A little bit different. I wasn't able to come on Monday night because for my sins, I was at the Emirates with a few friends enjoying the game. Not. Back to Premier League football. It was great to see people that we haven't seen for a good few weeks. It was good to be back, have a bit of banter, etc. But of course, the football comes and spoils it, doesn't it? So I'm going to talk very briefly about the game and also give you a bit of playing news. I kind of put this all together a bit too quickly tonight, so but don't expect the full the full show as I normally do on a Monday. That'll be back next Monday, but I'll give you a bit of an update on some playing news, and it looks like we might have a striker available. Well, another striker available for the game against Brentford, and boy, do we need it. And just a little bit of playing news and a few one update on transfers. I've looked at a particular story tonight, and I thought that was quite interesting. So I thought that was worth putting into the show. So why don't we start with people in the chat first of all, and see who's on tonight. Good evening to you, Mr. Tiley. I hope you're well. Steve, you wanted a striker. We got one. What's going on? I hope you're well, mate. Don't want to be the voice of doom, but if we lose on Friday, Moyes has to go. Simple as that. It's going to be interesting, Steve. I must be honest with you, mate. Even I, as you know, I've been an advocate of like, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Even I'm sort of beginning to wilt now. Still, Steve again. Also has to be Areola for Fabs and Downs in for Soucek. I'd agree with both of those, to be honest with you. Good evening to you, Debbie and Mark. How are you? Even Steve, couldn't agree with you more with the playing of Areola over Fabianski. I think it's time Fabs warms the bench and we let Areola show us what he's capable of doing in goal. As you know, people who've watched me for quite a long time will know I've been an advocate of Areola for last season as well as this one. I think he's very much. He played for Fulham and he was their best player when they were relegated 2 seasons ago. And so he's kind of proved himself that he's capable of being a Premier League goalkeeper. And I think the Areola's mistake. Well, let's talk about Areola's mistake. Fabianski's mistake in the game against Arsenal for their second goal. For an experienced goalkeeper was it just shouldn't have happened, should it? I mean, okay, Soufal shouldn't have given Martinelli the space that he had, but at the same time, Fabianski, his near post, you'd expect a schoolboy. It was a schoolboy error, not covering his post. And I think you're right, to be quite honest with you, Steve and Debbie and Mark. I think Areola's time, but we know what Moyes is going to do, don't we? Good evening to you, Graham. I hope you're well, mate. Excuse me. It's bloody snowing again in Alberta, so warm us up and tell us Vincent Kompany is our next manager. Interesting. Vincent Kompany is smashing it in the Championship. He's going to bring Burnley back up without a doubt. They won 3-0 over the Christmas period against Birmingham, and they're doing exceptionally well. He's going to be a very, very good manager. But why would he come to West Ham if he brings Burnley up? You know, imagine the achievement and the what that's going to give him and the team for coming up under him. Paul, good evening to you. Moyes on thin ice? Yeah, just has 6 weeks off and still can't skate. Yeah, I know, mates. It's not looking, I don't think any of us expected to win against Arsenal on Monday night, but I think what we were hoping for, what I was certainly hoping for, was a different performance or something to make us go, oh well, we lost, but we can look at this happening or this has been changed or whatever. And I could see a few things that David Moyes did. This is my review, by the way. And by the way, I did a proper review earlier on in the day, so forgive me if I skip over a lot of the information. You can go after this show and watch the full review that I did earlier. I was hoping to see something a little bit different, and there were one or two things, but not enough to make a massive change. For example, you could see Paqueta was playing slightly deeper, and it seems that Soucek and Paqueta were kind of almost taking turns, to be alongside Declan. But it kind of didn't work. It was a lot of effort from Soucek and a lot of effort from Declan, but it just wasn't working, and Paqueta wasn't in the game enough for me. Is that his fault? I don't know. Because if you're asked to sort of play as that sort of role, I don't know, number 10, number 8, etc. Again, we saw what happened in the World Cup. He literally stood in the middle of the park, didn't he? Spraying the ball around. He had all the time in the world, but that's the game he plays. Is he the right player for us, Paqueta? Maybe we need to start asking that question, but certainly wasn't used in the right way against Arsenal on Monday night. Look, Arsenal, vibrant team, aren't they? I said in the review I did earlier today that I was kind of envious of Arsenal. A very young team, average age of something like 24. The starting lineup on Monday night. They had 3 players on the pitch who were 21 years of age. Martinelli. There was someone else, and that Saliba and Saka, all 21 years of age. Whereas we put out a team with 30 or plus year olds in the team, and you saw the difference. You saw the way that they were moving around, a lot of energy, etc. And as I said also in the review, they had their 2 eldest players at 29 and 30 were the centre midfielders who kind of glue the whole team together. So you've got the youngsters at the back, young goalie, youngsters up front, etc. And then they've got those 2 solid central midfielders, those sort of experienced midfielders that kind of held it all together. And I was a little bit envious. I won't lie. We put out. You love the players that we got who've given us years of service, like Fabianski, etc. But you kind of look at the team and you go, where's the pace? Where's the energy, etc. And I did say I think Downs would have been great to be in that team. I think maybe Emerson and maybe change the formation. I wouldn't have minded going to 5 at the back against Arsenal on Monday night. I wouldn't have minded that. Okay, you kind of lose something in attack, but look at our attack. It was almost non-existent anyway. And maybe Emerson would have given us a little bit of pace, Downs in the middle to give us a little bit of bite. And as people have been saying, Areola, I don't know how much longer Moyes can keep up with Fabianski. He's been a great servant, but when you look at the way he, that second goal, it was poor. It was poor. Who else have we got in the chat? Steve again. Hi, Demi. Why he keeps playing Soucek is beyond me. He offers nothing. At least Downs puts in a tackle. Yep, agreed. Debbie and Mark. Now still, it's late because Moyes is on the blower to him, asking him how he can help to. If only we'd have been relegated already if I was managing the team. Steve again. You two are chatting to each other. Still, surely must be Moyes out if we lose on Friday. I look, okay. Let me qualify this because I think I've got a lot of stick over the past 6 weeks or so. A lot of stick because of the way I've been sort of describing my hope to see the team improve, etc. What I said just before the World Cup, I said, look, if we're still down in the bottom, near the bottom of the half, bottom of the table by the World Cup, that's going to be a bit of a nail in the coffin for me. And I also said, at least I want to see what happens when we come back. And if there's something to hold on to, then there'll be hope. And when I looked at the way we played on Monday night, there wasn't enough for me to go, there's hope here. I want to see what happens on Friday night. I think Friday is going to be an absolutely crucial game. If we play the same way as we did, up until now in the season, the way we did against Arsenal, and I think I'm going to have to say that finally, I don't know what else I can say to keep my hopes up that Moyes might get us out of this, and I will have to almost say Moyes out. There, I said it. Good evening to you, Tony. I hope you're well. Exactly, mate. I'm never late. Like I always say, you lot are always early. Good evening, Howard. How are you? I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Chris Green, good evening to you, mate. I think the board will be Moyes out if we lose on Friday. I think quite possibly. If we lose on Friday, that'd be 5 games in a row. There's this thing about, no manager has ever lost 6 games in a row in the Premier League and survived. And that'll be, if we do lose on Friday, that'll be 5 in a row. And then we go in the new year on the 4th of January to Leeds, which is no way going to be an easy task, is it? Good evening, Rhonda and Tony. Morning all. Is the West Ham board waiting for Everton to sack Lampard and praying they ask West Ham for Moyes so they don't have swap deal? No, thank you. I'd rather, I'd rather not have. Excuse me. I'd rather not have Lampard. He's not doing any better than Moyes is. Debbie and Mark would love to hear Stel and everyone else's opinion on Divine Mbarma with his Prem debut and where this could lead him. Well, mate, I see, this is the trouble with me. I get really excited with our young players and I wax lyrical about them and then they disappear. And I remember talking about Divine and Barmer, I think about a season and a half ago, maybe a bit longer, when he signed his professional contract. I think it was last November 2021, I think it was. And I was talking about his record in the under 18s or for the academy and the way he's been progressing. He started off at the back. He started off as a defender, and they found out that all he kept doing was scoring. And they said, "Well, why don't you start up front?" And that's where he's been ever since. And he had a record, I think, in lockdown. I can't remember what the number of goals were, but in the season when we went into lockdown, he amassed something like a ridiculous amount of goals in the West Ham team that he was playing for at the time. I don't know what it was, the under 16s or whatever. Now I know it's not it's nothing like Premier League football, but he looked like a fantastic looking player, and I'm really pleased for him that he made his debut. Giving him 3 minutes, a little bit insulting in my eyes. We lost the game already. Give him 10 minutes at least, for goodness sake, and see what he'll do. In fact, I think he ran more than I think he ran more in the 5 or 3 minutes that he was on than Antonio did in the whole game. Look, Antonio, hard-working, etc., but no end product for me. He's not a striker. We all know that, and it's disappointing. I don't wish for players to not make it in the team, but I think Bowen, if Bowen had, there was talk about maybe Bowen being the emergency striker because Antonio may not have made it, and I think he probably would have given Arsenal more. He would have been more attacking against them. They would have had, their defense would have had more to be concerned about. Whereas Antonio, unfortunately, I don't know that chance early in the second half. If he'd whacked that in 2-0. Who knows what would have happened then? That might have really shaken Arsenal. I remember I was with Wiggy and a few others when we scored our penalty, and Wiggy said they're shaken. Arsenal looked for momentarily, they looked like they were a little bit shaken. And imagine if we'd have gone 2-0 up. They might not have got back from that. Mind you, who knows? Who knows? They're a good team. They're a very, very good team. Good evening, Ed. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Good evening, Mr. Watson. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Ed, has Scamacca been reported as fit to play? Well, yes. Let me get to that later on, though. I know you like me to jump the gun, etc., but bear with me. I ain't gonna be too long before I get onto player updates, and I'll give you an update on Scamacca. Chris Green, 100% Stevie's lost the dressing room. The hard work and fight that we had isn't there anymore. Fresh ideas are needed. Thanks for the memories, Moisey, but time is up. The interesting thing, I agree with a lot of that, but I don't actually agree with him losing the dressing room. I think the players still want to play for it. Or certainly the players have been there before this season. I don't know about the new players. Paqueta, he walked off without even shaking anyone's hands, etc. So I don't know what's going on in his mind. But certainly, the established players are there for Moyes. But so I don't know if he's completely lost the dressing room, but he's certainly baffling a lot of people and probably a lot of the players as well. Steve, simply I meant bloody phone. What did you mean? You must who replaces Moyes? I'm doing a show on that, and it ain't going to be the usual suspects that everyone's been talking about, Pochettino and Tuchel, who I think neither would be interested in the role, to be quite honest with you, if it becomes available. Gravy Dave, good evening to you. Give the job to company. It would be great, but I can't see that happening, to be really honest with you. Like I said a moment ago, if company brings Burnley up first time, being promoted again, I think he'll stick with them, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, he seems quite an interesting manager, doesn't he? Jovi, good evening to you, mate. Moyes won't get sacked even if we lose to Brentford and Leeds. There is that possibility. There's still talk that the board are backing him. But I guess we could just have to wait and see. I think it's the nature of losing. I think it's losing is one thing. It's how you lose that's makes it even more important. Tony, I'm glad, mind you, we need the points. A win's a win. Even if we win dirty, I don't mind at this moment. Tony, I'm glad you don't get fined on YouTube if you come on late. Like I said, mate, I'm never late. Galispera to you, Keith. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Mark, Last 6 games, we had the worst record in the league, relegation form. We've been relegation form for a lot longer. I just haven't admitted it. You know, I kept on hoping that we would possibly get out of this some way. After what I saw, like I said earlier, after what I saw on Monday night, it was poor. All right, we're playing against Arsenal. I don't think anyone expected us to win. I just wanted to see a different performance. And unfortunately, we didn't get it. Paul Evans, good evening to you. Nothing has changed. All Moyes does is pick the team. No plan B, no use of bench. That was another disappointing thing. We went 2-1 down, and you would have thought that, you know, do something different. I kept looking over at the bench, and there was absolutely no movement. Then we went 3-1 down, and then he brought Fornals on. I thought Fornals again looked lively. I think Fornals should actually be starting on Friday night in the first 11. To be quite honest with you, I want to see a few changes. I really do. I want to see Areola in goal, but I know that ain't going to happen. I want to see. I hope Aguerd's back, but it looks like he may not be ready in time. So I don't know what he's going to do with our defence. I want to see Downs play. I want to see Fornals play. I want to see those players come on. I don't mind if Scamacca is fit enough, then fine, but give him support as well. Howard, I heard that Mark Noble, Sam Allardyce, and Paolo Di Canio are seen at Canary Wharf tonight. We haven't done that joke for a long time. Seen at Canary Wharf at the at the hotel there. Mark Noble, quite possibly. Sam Allardyce, good God, no. Paolo Di Canio, only if he's going out for a drink with someone. Good evening to you, Neil. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. 7:35 a.m. from South Australia. I hope you're well. Thanks for joining, mate. Steve, and surprise, you called out Ben. I know. That was outrageous, to be quite honest with you. And I actually said this on social media. I said, why is it that we're not allowed to criticise Declan Rice when he makes a mistake? Because he made a few, and it was his mistake that led to their equaliser. You know, okay, fine. You know, he was maybe reaching for the ball, but not that badly, to be quite honest with you. But when he lost the ball to Odegaard, his tracking back seemed to be a bit laboured, as if he wasn't bothering. Then there were players around him. No one seemed to be going to Odegaard to close him down. And then, all right, the miss hit and it got to Saka was lucky. But no one was trying to close Odegaard down. And I think Declan was culpable for that as well. Normally, you'd see him get in there. And he did do it a few times. And even has his mind been completely turned from the club? You know, I mean, that's a big question. Should we actually cut our losses and maybe sell Declan Rice in January rather than wait till the summertime? You know, is it a distraction for the team? Is it a distraction for him? You know, I don't know what we'd do with the money. Would we use the money to improve things? I really don't know. But is it becoming a distraction? I don't know. It's really, when I look at the way he played, Declan Rice, for England, the way he sat in front of the front four and did an exceptional job. He didn't do that on Monday night. You know, he was getting in there, getting stuck in, but there were just moments where you just felt like he wasn't quite with it. And Saka, shorter, not as big as Declan, etc., was brushing him off the ball as well. Good evening to you, Billy Bob. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Good evening to you, Jonathan. How are you? I hope you're well. Thanks for joining. Irish Tommy, long time no see. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Rhonda and Tony, if we want a manager with fight, Kevin Muscat just won the J-League. Remember him? I remember the name, but no, you're going to have to remind me. What about Dean Smith of ex-Norwich? Well, you know, never know. Howard, only 6 points will do for the next 2. We need more. We need more for the next 2. Yeah, we do need 6 points, though. We need to win and not just, I mean, like I said a moment ago, I don't mind if we just win dirty and get those points, but I would rather see a solid performance, to be honest with you. I think that would bode well. Getting the points is absolutely vital, but getting the points and playing well would be a marker, wouldn't it? And I just, you know, and that's what I hoped for in the game against Arsenal. I was just hoping that we were going to play well, even if we didn't get anything out of the game, but we didn't play well and we didn't get anything out of the game. Serif, good evening to you. Galispero to you. I'm very well, mate, and thank you for joining. Good evening to you, Hugh. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Daniela, how are you? I've no problem with the Moyes out. I just don't like some of the hate that some of the fans are dishing out at Moyes at times, and some of the players. That I agree with you. I think that you know, there's a line, isn't there? You fine, give your view, and like I always say, everyone's welcome to what they think about the situation, but no need to be vile about it. You know, Anyway, Adam, we need a good performance. Not had one for too long. We need one against Brentford. We absolutely do, mate. Good evening to you, Kaiser. I hope you went well, mate. Tough shot to save. Was it really though? I don't know, mate. He's a goalie. You know, he should have closed his stay. He should have closed that gap down. I think it was, and it was. You look at the angle that Martinelli had to shoot from. Wasn't easy. You know, I think Soufal made it easier for him, to be quite honest with you, by not closing him down even more. I mean, when you're when you're in the 18-yard box, get closer, try and make it even harder. So Soufal was a little bit culpable, but I don't know. Tough shot to save. Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Billy Bob. We need a hard guy likes a Dixie. Wouldn't be bullied on. Here's the interesting thing. What Moyes said, it's like we need to start. I can't remember the exact words, but he said something like, "We need to be hard. We need to be hard to beat again." You know, and I just wonder what that means. Does that mean that maybe he drops even more flair players from the starting lineup and brings in, you know, the likes of Downs and other people that are going to get their foot in there? It won't be pleasant, but does that mean we won't see, you know, Fornals, Fornals does that, Fornals does that job for him, does that dirty work for him. And I just wonder if the likes of Downs and Fornals will come in, maybe at the price of Benrahma, maybe at the price of Paqueta, and maybe that's what Moyes is thinking when he says we need to become harder to beat again. I wonder if he's got in his mind, bring in, the players that are going to get their foot in rather than being the flair players. And I just wonder, he might go down that road on Friday against Brentford. Good evening, Mr. McCarthy. Thank you for letting me join your Irish group on Facebook, mate. I'm the token Greek Irishman. Thank you. Appreciated, John. I hope you're well. Epic. Good evening to you, mate. Moyes needs to go and he can take Fabianski and Creswell with him. Fabianski, good backup, but not a starter. I agree. Ian, good evening to you. It was an interesting Christmas, let's put it that way, but I hope you had a good Christmas too. And to all of you, I forgot to mention that. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas as well. It's time for a change. Yeah, I'm there, sort of. You know me, sit on the fence. I'll get splinters in my arse for sitting on the fence for too long. I have a spanner by my name. You do, Daniela, you do, but be careful how you use it. But good evening to you, Adam. I hope you're well, mate. Jonathan. The fact that we had 6 weeks and nothing has changed is the total reason he should go now. It's deluded and not aware of the current situation and what is happening on the pitch. I think he's fully aware of what's happening on the pitch. It's what he's doing about it or not doing about it. That's the problem. Kent, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Should have gone after the Leicester game. I'm very worried about Friday. I think Brentford have got our number. If we go 1-0 down, the ground will become toxic. And Mr. Moyes hasn't got the answers. And I also agree with you on that. It's going to be very, very interesting if things don't go well in the stadium on Friday night. I believe it's sold out. First game back under the lights, etc. I'm quite glad about that. But if it doesn't go the way we're hoping, you're absolutely right. I think that the crowd could turn. That could become quite nasty. And what was said earlier, if we do lose and the crowd turn, that might be the thing that might make the board go, okay, fair enough. Time for him to go. Tony, Paqueta storming down the tunnel after the game was not good. It wasn't good. I don't understand. I think, all right, he was probably upset that we lost the game. Fair play. I think, good that he showed a little bit of passion in that way, but he should have at least, handshaked and everything before storming off. That wasn't good, I must admit. Adam. I still don't rate most players nowadays from every team. All actors and refs are shit and top six fans. Yeah, refs. Now, look, I'm not suggesting for a moment that the ref lost us the game, but he made the game difficult for us, didn't he, in the first half? I know we got a penalty, and I think it was justly awarded. He almost seemed like he couldn't wait to give them the penalty that hit Creswell's head, but he booked Bowen and Soufal early in the game, and there were sort of quite innocuous challenges, and there were a number of challenges that were, first of all, Bowen being brought down. There was no booking. Was it Partey who brought him down? He didn't get a booking for that. Should have been a yellow card, maybe. Paqueta in the game got scissored by, I think it was Odegaard. He didn't get booked in the game, and so we went out in the second half where two players were already on tenterhooks, and it was almost the case in the second half where it looked like Bowen was going to get another card. There was a challenge. I think it was the second half. Was it at the end of the first? I can't remember. But it looked like Bowen was going to get another card. And it was like, oh, here we go. But Arsenal came out. They were freer, weren't they? Because they didn't have any concerns about any bookings. And the ref was a bit shit in my view. Ken, I went to the Arsenal game on Monday. It was a consignment job in the first half. We got the goal in front. Second half, we were just waiting for Arsenal to score. More ways with 2 negative time to go. Yeah, we were very negative in the second half. We here we go again. We set out to protect a 1-0 lead, and we can't, can we? We simply can't. We haven't been able to do that for God knows how long. We're just no good at that. But here's the strange thing. When we go a goal down, or when a team equalised against us last season, we brushed ourselves down and we just went, all right, here we go. Let's start again. Where's that passion gone this season? That's a little bit weird. John, still, the Gooners are shithouses, trying to get players sent off, and the manager is worse. What the hell is he doing in the West Ham technical box and grabbing the fourth official when we won a penalty? Sodom. I agree, mate. I think, I think they did. They were niggly little fouls, niggly, nasty little fouls that the ref wasn't penalising them for. And I lost it, didn't I? Because I put something on Facebook at half time, and I kind of went into a bit of a rant about the ref. He just looked like we were sitting there, we were standing there. He blew the whistle for what he thought was a penalty, and he almost didn't even look like he wanted to go to the screen to see that it hit Creswell's head. He seemed quite reluctant. I don't know. But anyway, like I said, he didn't lose us the game. We lost the game because Arsenal were a lot better than us. Chris, it's kind of sad that David Moyes is so stubborn. I was hoping he would be here for many years, taking us forward and maybe even winning something and really challenging the big boys. We thought that last season, didn't we? To be honest with you, we thought finally that was going to happen. Lee, good evening to you. I hope you've all had a great Christmas. I hope you have too, mate, and you have a better new year. P.S. Don't drink too much. Too late for that. I've been drinking far too much. John, Stell, are you on the Guinness? I don't mind the Guinness every now and again. James, or are you talking about something else? James, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Scamacca may be back, but I think he'll end up like Aguerd, head done. We should have bought 2 strikers. We've got some good kids coming through. Give them a chance. Can't be any worse. Good call. Well, it's interesting. Let me just hang on that point for a moment, because there is talk that apparently the board have said, even though we've spent a lot of money in the summer transfer window, there's a suggestion that the board have turned around to Moyes and said, we'll find you money to get another striker. And he's apparently turned it down. I hope that's not true. I really hope that's just a rumor and there's no substance to it. Because if he has actually genuinely turned down the opportunity to get another striker in, that would really, really concern me. I love Antonio, but he's not a striker. He never has been. I love Scamacca, but we're not feeding him. We're not playing to his strengths. So get a goal poacher. That's what we need. Get someone that's going to goal hang, literally hang around that 18-yard box, waiting for an opportunity. Now, Divine Mbama is that kind of player. You see the way he's been moving around, especially when he played against FCSB in the Europa Conference League. He was sort of literally always in the box, waiting for a cross to come in, waiting for an opportunity. He had a number of chances against FCSB, and that's what we need. We need someone that's going to be in the box. What did Wenger once say about one of his players? A fox in the box. We need that kind of player. We need someone that's going to be like just standing there, but literally occupying the centre backs throughout the whole game and trying to sniff out an opportunity. Scamacca's not like that. Scamacca likes to drop deeper, get involved in the play, tippy-tappy, 1-2s and all that sort of stuff. We're not playing to that strength. So he's out of the game. Antonio, we know what he's like. You pump the ball forward and off he goes and runs for it. That doesn't suit some of the players we bought. Paqueta likes the tippy-tappy, which is why he gets on better with Scamacca, because they're kind of almost on the same wavelength. It's a little bit like Payet and Lanzini when they were here in 2015. They had a connection, an instant connection. They were on the same wavelength. They were passing, moving, creating chances, scoring goals, etc. And that's what Scamacca needs. Scamacca needs players around him that are going to be a bit like that, be on that wavelength. And we're not doing that. We're not affording him that kind of play. So he's out of the game. And people are saying he's a little bit like Aguerd. I think Aguerd was hard done by. I think Kent would agree with me. We always said you feed Aguerd and he'll score your goals. And he proved that not only at Ajax, but he proved that in the Champions League for Ajax. And I'm sure now that he's back from his illness, he'll probably prove that in the Bundesliga again. We need players that are going to feed each other, are going to sort of be on the same wavelength. Divine Mbama, I love. 3 minutes. I mean, poor guy. Here's my Premier League debut. Fantastic. What did you do? I came on for the last 3 minutes when we were 3-1 down. Oh, well. Anyway, curse of our record signing. Is it his fault, though? I don't think it is. And I would be worried if fans started to accuse Scamacca of being lazy or being not right or rubbish, etc., etc. You don't pay 30 odd million pounds for a footballer if he's crap. Right, let me stop there because I want to go into player news and give you an update on all the player injuries and loan news and all that sort of stuff. Right, excuse me about that. Right, let's go on to a bit of loan news, shall we? We'll start off some good things to talk about. We had 5 West Ham loanees featuring in games over the Christmas period. And the first of those is Mipo Odebeko. One thing I'm really, really pleased about is finally our players that we've sent out on loan are getting some game time. And I'm really, really pleased about that. What happens thereafter? Who knows? It depends on how well they do for their loan teams, etc. But it's good that they're finally getting some play time. And a lot of them haven't been getting a lot of that. Mipo Odebeko, he played for Port Vale, where they claimed a 1-0 victory at home to Morecambe at the weekend. He was introduced on the 70th minute to replace defender Lewis Kaz, and he helped the home side to see out a win and claim 3 points. Fantastic for him. Port Vale are now 9th in the league and 3 points outside the playoff zone. That's the sort of thing that will get our players noticed. If they get more game time, help the team that they've been loaned to improve, etc., then who knows what will happen. And one player I'm really pleased about is Manuel Longello. I misspelt his name. I do apologise. That was it. Manuel Longello made his 13th appearance for Birmingham against Vincent Kompany's Burnley. They lost 3-0. But Longello has become a mainstay in the Birmingham team, and they love him. He plays more as a left wing back than he does as a left back. But he's been a celebrated player for them. You know, he's playing in a championship team who are striving to get into the playoffs, etc. And I think that really bodes well for us. You know, that's a really, really good amount of experience for the young lad, and he can come back to West Ham United. And fingers crossed, you know, he can maybe stake a claim in the senior squad. You know, challenging Emerson, challenging Creswell for one of the first team starts. Why not? He turned 22 on the 27th of December, and so he's the right age. He's getting good experience, and I'm really, really pleased for him. Another player, it's an interesting team that he's gone to. Jacob Knightbridge is one of our youth goalies. He plays for Harrow Borough, and they played against the Met Police at the weekend. Look, you know, I ain't going to get him in the first team, is it? But, you know, Knightbridge was called into action a couple of times, but they lost 2-0 to the Met Police. Now, King Arthur is back. Yes, he had an injury, didn't he? And he was out for some time. And then there was all this chat about Besiktas didn't want him and they wanted to send him back to West Ham. Well, he's back in action. On Christmas Day, he was in action again for Besiktas against Gaziantep. Where a late goal by Workhorse was shared the points with the two teams. So well done to him. Well done for coming back, Arthur. And no, we don't need you back, mate. It's all right. Another player, Armstrong Okoflex, came on as a sub for Swansea. Now, they fell to a 2-1 defeat against Reading in the Championship, where former striker Andy Carroll scored a goal. There you go. He's still playing, Andy Carroll, and he got the winning goal for them. But it's good to see Armstrong Okoflex also getting more and more game time in the Championship. That's fantastic. What about some injury news? Well, done that one. Excuse me. Kurt Zouma, look, no change there. I said in the show that I did a week and a half ago that he's likely to return around about mid-January. The knee surgery that he had was a bit of a washout of the knee. It cleared out some fluid and various other things, and he's due back around mid-January. Fingers crossed. I think we absolutely need him. And then the news that came out today is Gianluca Scamacca is apparently likely to be available for Brentford at the weekend on Friday. Look, he rolled his ankle against Fulham in the friendly that we played a week and a half ago, and it was so swollen that it was difficult to take a scan of the injury to know how bad it was. And there was a fear that quite possibly the injury, if it was that bad, might keep him out for the whole of January. But it seems David Moyes has suggested today that the Italian striker stands a good chance of making the game for this Friday. That's really unlike David Moyes, isn't it? He rarely ever gives us updates about players, especially when they're out injured. So it's quite interesting that he's actually come out today and suggested that the player could be back in time for the Brentford game. I think that's great. Look, I've already said about Antonio and Scamacca. I think Antonio, we haven't got, he plays a completely different way to most of the players that we've signed for West Ham United. Scamacca, if you actually, use him in the best way possible, he could be more effective. He needs players around him rather than being left there as a lone striker. That's not his forte. And if we change our formation, that will help. Maybe a player 4-3-3 against Brentford on Friday night. That would be useful. Having, say, Bowen and Benrahma either side of him. I'd like to see Fornals. I think Fornals would be another player that would be very much on Scamacca's wavelength. I like Fornals. He came on Fornals and he looked quite lively. I think he looked quite lively in the friendlies as well, and also before the World Cup started as well. I think Fornals is a much maligned player, and I think you play him in his rightful position. Play him as a number 10, play him in the middle of the park rather than out left, where he kind of has to do more defending than he should. Then you see a completely different Pablo Fornals. And I think Fornals is one of the players that could certainly help Scamacca find his feet in the Premier League, to be honest with you. So it's good. I think it's good news. If we got him back, I think that would be fantastic for us. Who else we got? Knife Aguerd. Well, David Moyes also spoke about Aguerd. He came back, as we already know. He came back. He had a virus and an injury, which made him miss the last few games of the World Cup. And Moyes said he's come back a little bit underweight because of the illness. So we've got to get the kilos back up, etc. So it might just be a little bit too soon for Brentford. I kind of hope that he does start, to be honest with you, because with the greatest of respect to Thilo Kehrer, I don't want to see Thilo Kehrer as a centre back, or certainly not on the left side of centre back as well. He got far too easily turned by Nketiah in the game against Arsenal. I'd much rather see him as a right back. I think Soufal was all right, but I think Kehrer is a much more athletic right back than Soufal is, and I hope Aguerd starts. But it's quite possible Aguerd may be on the bench. Will he be used? He might be brought on for a few minutes, a bit of game time. But it might just be a bit too soon for him to start. Right, next up, Mr. Sicknote. Well, nothing's really changed. He was back in training. He's been back in training a couple of times, and then he suffered a recurrence of his calf injury, which has set him back, and nothing's changed since the last I spoke about him. It looks like he's back early to mid-January, so not much update on that. Right, a little bit of young player news. We've got another professional contract signing. Gideon Kadua is the latest academy player to sign professional papers for West Ham United, following in the footsteps of Callum Marshall and Ollie Scarles, who both signed in the last few weeks. Young attacking midfielder. He can also play as a striker. He turned 18 in October and has been with West Ham United since the age of 12, 13 years of age. He joined the club in 2017 after being scouted, playing for Newham District. And after a 6-week trial and scoring in his trial against Luton, the club offered him an academy spot. He was a regular in the 21-22 season, playing for the under-18s, making 28 appearances and scoring 13 goals. This season so far, he's made 12 appearances in all competitions, scoring 5 goals and 2 assists. On signing, Kadua said, "I'm really excited, proud to be signed my first professional deal at West Ham. Really eager to see what the future holds. My time has been amazing. Even I've shot myself at my improvement." He went on to talk about how hard work can pay off, and went on to discuss the close bond that the under-18s have in the side this season. You can see that from their results. They've yet to be beaten in the under-18s league. Kadua's signature comes just days after Divine Mbarma made his Premier League debut for West Ham United, also at the age of 18. And so it shows slowly that some players might have a chance of breaking through into the first team. We don't expect an avalanche of academy players to break through, but if you get one every year, a couple every couple of seasons or whatever, isn't that a good thing? I think it's great that Divine Mbarma is being given his chance. I hope he gets more chances. I hope that ain't it for him. I hope he didn't play one game in the Europa Conference League and now 3 minutes in the Premier League, and that's it. He disappears again, just like every other young player does. So I think it'll be fantastic If Kadua comes through, Kadua can sort of step up into the under-21s, and maybe Mbama steps up on a regular basis into the senior team. Wouldn't that be great? Right. I'm going to do the last bit of the show, transfers, but I'm going to go back into your chat and see what you guys have to say. Paul, we were looking like a top 4 team last season. Monday night showed the gap is huge, massive, mate. Isn't it amazing that about 3 seasons ago, or just under 3 seasons ago, when what's his name took over Arsenal, and we were talking about how crap they were, and we looked like we could beat them easy, and they still beat us, by the way. And now he's gone. Arsenal have progressed, and we kind of regressed. It's a shame. John, Moyes ain't getting us out of this. Possibly not. I'm now, I'm resigned, John. I'm resigned. I'm almost converted. Let's see what happens after Friday. Daniela, I was listening on Talk Sport, got fed up with the Arsenal loving by the commentators, and one was Alvin Martin. It was sticking, yes, and they were very good, but some stuff they were saying was disrespectful. Yeah, it's interesting because on Match of the Day, when we win a game on Match of the Day, I watched the highlights. When we win a game on Match of the Day, we they always talk about the team that's lost and saying what they didn't do in order to get beaten by West Ham. We got beat, not a word about West Ham United. It was all about Arsenal. Lovely. Let the loving continue. Serif, the dithering schoolmaster has to go as soon as possible. Kaiser, this is an interesting point, and I absolutely agree with you. What is going on with Warburton? Isn't he meant to be an attack-minded coach? Well, where the hell's the attacking coming from? Because it's odd to me that he's shown no attacking prowess, or we've shown no attacking prowess this season at all. Jonathan, Friday we will play with the same team again, despite the poor performance and childish mistakes. If we do, I expect us to lose. Dabs, if Moyes gets sacked, who are the next managers going to be? Deitch or Noble as interim? Absolutely not Noble, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think Noble's coming in to potentially take over from Moyes. I don't even know if he's got his coaching badges. He might have. I don't know. But no, I think that will be very, very dangerous to put in a novice manager. And let's be honest, Noble would be a novice manager. It would be very, very dangerous in the predicament that we're in to actually bring someone like Mark Noble to take over. Sean Deitch, I've said it before, and I hate saying it, but he could be a potential prospect to come in and take over at West Ham United. Whether we like it or not, absolutely not. I think it's going to be horrible, but it might be him. Adam, I'm really worried we may go down. We're not playing well, and too many silly mistakes are costing us, and the team don't see. Agreed. I think the team do see, but it's what do we do about it on the training pitch? We're making these mistakes. What are we doing to actually make them not happen again? Sorry, you didn't finish there. So don't see to be playing as a team. Yeah, we're not playing as a team. We do look a little bit like strangers. Irish Tommy, backing Moyes at the World Cup break only to sack him 2 games later would be a huge show of incompetence from the board. Absolutely ridiculous nonsense to do that. It might be. I guess they had their reasons, and whatever reasons they are for sticking by him, like other people have said, we might even lose the next 2 games and they may still not sack him. It's not a dead cert, but like I said, I don't think any manager has gone 6 games, a beaten run of 6 games in the Premier League and kept his job. Kaiser, Souček might be better up front. People have suggested that, and I said that. Put Paqueta in his role alongside Declan. Make sure that they're controlling the midfield, and let Souček go further up forward. Cross those balls in, and who knows? He might be far more effective. Good evening to you, James. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're well. John, Fat Lamp at the London Stadium can get the same meds. It will never happen. I would never happen. Dabs, Noble would be a high risk. Would be high risk, high reward situation. It would be great if he did take over and got us out of this predicament. But I think that would be very, very, very dangerous. Daniela, love Noble. Please let's not go down that road. Absolutely. Good evening to you, Ashley. I hope you're well. Just reading about the board giving Moyes until well, they might give him a lot more time. Kent. Stel, it's so sad seeing so many old school West Ham fans who have season tickets thinking, oh, I already decided to give up the season to getting at the end of the season due to a variety. Yeah, I read your post, mate, and I didn't have, because I was putting this together, I didn't have time to comment on it. I think it is sad. I think there's a number of issues, isn't there? There's cost of living. People just simply can't afford to keep going to games home and away. It's beginning to really hit hard going to football matches, especially Premier League football, when it's not cheap. And then, of course, the season that we're having, it's kind of almost making it easy for people to go, well, that's it for me. Maybe I need to take some time away. I mean, if that stadium is only 3/4 full, that's not good, is it? And it would be sad, mate, and especially the old school. But you do see a lot of the Kent. A lot of the old school still go to away games. They still find their way there. James, I made this one. Well done, mate. Thank you for joining as well. Rhonda and Tony. No, not a swap for Lampard, just Everton taking Moyes. Everton taking Moyes, it'd be interesting. Do you know what? I wonder if they take him. I wonder if they would actually welcome him. Stranger things at sea and all that sort of stuff. Jonathan, Moyes gives, though, a token gesture against the bigger teams for 5 minutes. Moyes is not going to play Obama more to see what we can do. I didn't understand. Sorry, mate. You're going to have to write that again. Paul, Obama put on for 3 minutes when the game was over. Just not right. Bring him on earlier and play Scars as well. I agree. Give him, look, we lost the game. Were we going to get back in it with 8-9 minutes? Well, you can do. There is that possibility, but it didn't look like it, did it really? So give him a bit more time. Give him a little bit more time to sort of get into the game. Who knows? A youngster. The thing I was envious about with the Arsenal team was they played with no fear. They're all young. They're all going out there enjoying themselves. They're being inspired to play. They're being told, go out there and express yourselves. Play as if you're playing in a school playground sort of attitude. Don't worry about it. Just go out there and perform. And that's what I want to see at West Ham. I want to see youngsters being given a proper opportunity. I want to see Flynn Downs get a good run in the team, because I think he's definitely shown absolute capability of doing it. And Barmer, okay, he's still young, but give him 10 minutes and see what will happen. A few other young players as well. Scarles, I think, is a great prospect. I'm not sure if he's kind of ready for Premier League football, but we've got Ashby as well. We're desperate to keep him, apparently, and yet he's not getting game time. We're talking about our right backs not playing well, and we're going through them. Ben Johnson is not having a great time at the moment. Soufal, a bit hit and miss. Kera has been a little bit hit and miss. Give Ashby a go. See what he can do. They're youngsters. They're hungry. They want to prove that they're good enough. They want to prove that they're good players. Even if you don't play them a whole game, then give them enough game time to demonstrate what they're capable of. Excuse me, John. Other than you, Rose. Very funny. Tony, Warburton will be our next manager. He knows what side is. The joke's coming out early tonight. Adam. Antonio has to go. We need to get better players in. Too many average players, and our decent players aren't playing well. I love Antonio. I love what Antonio has done for West Ham United. But let's be honest, he's not a striker. And dare I say it, he's not a Premier League footballer anymore either. Okay, blow me down, but that's what I think. Ashley, just to be reading about the board giving Moyes until the end of January. If it's true, we will have 17 games left to get points. Oh, end of January. I don't know. I mean, let's see what's going to happen I think the next 2 games are absolute. In fact, the next game being played at home is absolutely vital. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens from there on in. Funky T. Evening, Stel. Good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. I've been taking a beating on social media for supporting Moyes. Good to hear a friendly voice. Mate, I've had a bashing. I really have. I've had people really have a proper go at me, but they're all fair, fair play. People have their opinions. Absolutely fine. Martin. Scamacca won't make a difference if he plays up front on his own. Absolutely agree, Martin. That's what I said. He needs to be supported. No point saying, great, he's fit, he's ready, he'll play against Brentford, and then he's a lone striker, unable to do anything. Do forgive me if I miss a few comments. Want to just get through as many as I can. Usual suspect, good evening to you. Why keep giving him 3 more games, 2 more games, etc.? It's like watching a disaster movie. It feels that way at the moment. Mr. McLaren, how are you? Good evening to you. Are you going on Friday? I think you are, aren't you? So I'll see you there. Good evening, Andy. I hope you're well. On paper, our players are just as good as the Arsenal players. Agreed. It's just that they are far better coached. Agreed. I honestly think Moyes is too old school now. We need to move into the future. Graham, I think the toxic atmosphere at the London Stadium will force the board's hand if we don't improve. I kind of feel that. I do. I kind of feel that. Let's scroll down a little bit and get people in who haven't commented yet. Good evening, Vinay. I hope you're well. Moyes makes Rice captain. Lets him play further forward. Let him take penalties. Not anymore. What's the point of the? What's the point? I don't know, because he ain't going to stay, is he? Even I, did a show I think about a week and a half ago. Saying that it looks pretty full look now. Pretty much destined for him to go at the end of the season. I'll ask you a question. What do you think? I said this earlier on. Should we let, and I know people are going to go, my God, we'll collapse without him. But should we let Rice go? Is it a distraction? And should we let him go in the January window and get 100 mil for him and maybe get 3 players in for that? Maybe you can get more than that. You can get 3 or 4 decent, solid players in for that. Should we let him go in January and just bite the bullet? Because I'm not seeing the Declan Rice that I've been seeing of the past couple of seasons. That's without a shadow of a doubt. I'm not saying he's not committed. I think he is, but he's just not the same player at the moment. And is it because his head's turned? Should he be going? Should he be going in January rather than waiting till the summer? Is it going to cause us more damage with Declan around? The squad knows he wants to go. He obviously wants to. He's made it clear he wants to go, etc. What should we do? What's the best thing? Good evening to you, Douglas. And good evening to you. And I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Mark R, good evening to you. Hi, Still. Would you like to see Antonio Scamacca up front? No. I said this quite a long time ago. They're completely different footballers and they don't suit each other's style of play. I said a moment ago about when we had Pyatt and Lanzini first started in 2015, how they connected. We need someone that's going to connect. It's going to be on the level of Scamacca's. And I think someone like Paqueta is or can be. And I think Fornals can be as well. And if you've got players like that around him, I think that will serve him better. I just genuinely don't think that Scamacca and Antonio are suited to playing in the same team. I really don't. Honestly, they're just completely different styles of football. And I don't think that it suits them, to be honest with you. Martin, we need a captain who can get the boys firing. Great player, Rice, but not a captain. It's interesting you said that because I think that's possibly true. I think I said this. I think I said this in a show and also online. All this arm waving and when he gets upset when things go wrong. That's not what a captain should be doing. A captain should be getting around there, geeing up the players and saying, right, forget about it. Let's get on with it. Let's get on with the game. But if players are looking at their captain and he's waving his arms up in the air up frustrated, what about someone waving their arms up in the air frustrated at him when he lets the ball go or when he makes a mistake? Graham. I bet Aguerd would be fit to play for his country if they had a game on Friday. Jonathan, Rice is done. His head's turned and not sure people will buy him. They wait a year and get him on the cheap. Well, he'll, I really do think he's going in the summer. I thought maybe. I guess I was basing it on this season. If we're going to have a good season, I was suggesting earlier in the season, extend his contract. We've got an automatic extension clause in it. Extend it and let him play another season. Now I just don't know anymore. Pete, Dean Smith. I know, mate. I was joking. Usual suspects. We have a very good players. We are playing very badly. It's all points to one man, I'm afraid. Time for a change pronto. Keith, can we not ask Chef to whip up a lasagna for the Bradford game? Bradford or Brentford? Brentford game. Martin, Moyes is too arrogant to admit mistakes, drop a few players, bring in some youngsters. This is what I want to see. I want to see the team sheet. Not only who starts on Friday, but I'd also want to see a different style of football as well. But on the team sheet, that's where we start off. I want to see a few changes made. I really do. I'd like to see Areola in goal. I'd like to see I don't know, Downs playing. I'd like to see obviously Scamacca, and I'd like to see Fornals play. I want to see maybe at least those 4 changes. That's probably 4 too many for Moyes, but I'd like to see him show intent with his starting lineup. Forgive me, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Good evening to you, Kevin. Hi, Star. I hope you're well. I had an all right Christmas, mate, and I hope you had one too. Thank you. Trudge, it's true we are too nice. Then we get Arteta using dark arts. Isn't that weird? Arteta getting his team to play like that. We do need. I remember when Moyes first returned to West Ham. And one of the things I used to say a couple of seasons ago was we're too nice on the ball. We're not getting stuck in there. We're not getting our foot in there. It's not the way he wants to be. He wants his team to be gentlemen on the pitch, but it just doesn't fucking work sometimes. Sometimes you've got to get your studs in there. You got to get your foot in there and disrupt their play. The one thing that people are saying we've been sussed out. We've been sussed out through this season. But one of the things that people have realised is we've the soft underbelly has returned to West Ham. Whereas at one point we were playing with passion, with flair, with strength, etc. That's gone. All of a sudden, people are realising you just give us a little nudge and we're off the ball. We seem to be nudged off the ball really easily, but we don't do that to other teams. We don't get our foot in, and I don't understand that. Vino, Moyes deserves 99% of vindication that he gets. All the dinosaur jokes, he deserves it. Neil, good evening to you. Fed up with dissecting what has gone wrong and what can we do to win the next game. All roads leads back to Moyes. Let's scroll down. Let's get people in who haven't commented yet. Good evening, Victor. Moyes won't turn things around. He doesn't know how to. Chris Biggs, good evening to you. We should back Moyes still. Well, I've tried, but even I'm really, really struggling. I won't lie. I've tried all the way up to now. And for me, Monday night was the litmus test. And it was like, please show me something to hold on to. And it was like, oh, you haven't. Now I'm hoping for Friday night. I want, again, please show me something to hold on to, something for us to turn around and say, oh, hang on a minute. Maybe he's found a new way of playing. Maybe. But as a lot of people are saying, it's very much a long shot. Paul, should Tony be suspended? Any other? Yes, I think he should. Does that matter? They'd probably find someone else that will score 2 goals against us. But yes, I think he should for what he's done, because it ain't the first time, is it, for his betting stuff. Mr. Mann, good evening to you. We had a fair few ref choices given to us, so can't really complain. Did we, though? Well, we got the penalty, yeah, but that was an obvious. I'm not so sure we got much else, to be quite honest with you. But like I said, absolutely no way am I suggesting that the referee lost us the game. No way. Good evening to you, Neil. I hope you're well, mate. We've been blaming the ref for nearly every game. Like I said already, I'm not blaming the ref for us losing. We lost because Arsenal were by far the better team. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Where are we? Good evening, Lawrence. How are you? Nice to see you again. Antonio is a winger. It's not even that. I don't know what he is anymore. But maybe he might be better off as a wing, out on the wing. But I don't know. It's difficult to put down Antonio for the service he's given us. He's been fantastic. He has, but I just don't think. I think that when you look at players. That are have been coming into the Premier League on a regular basis. You look at a player like Antonio, and there's several others that we've got in our team as well. And you just kind of say to yourself, they're just not. They just don't look Premier League level anymore. Henry, whoops! I hope I didn't miss anything. Not much, mate. Just ranting really about the game and about some player updates. Good evening to you, Tasman. How are you? Moyes hates buying in January. That's why we're in the doo-doo. We're in now. Well, that's the interesting thing. I said a moment ago. I said a little bit earlier that if he really has been offered money to go out and get himself a striker, and he said no, fuck you know. Scroll down. Let's Howard. Has anyone seen? I heard from her recently. She's all right, and she'll be back soon, hopefully. Not supporting the spot. No, she wouldn't do that. Tony, according to Global 247 News, 16 minutes ago, Sullivan said it's absolute bollocks. Don't listen to that. He ain't. If there's anyone that's going to sell their shares in the club, it's going to be more likely David Gold because he's getting older. He's beginning to wind down all his business assets, etc. Probably going to go to his family. I did a show a few weeks ago talking about the shares at West Ham United. People were sort of thinking that we're going to get Americans in, and we're going to get this in, and we're going to get that in, etc. And there's all this talk about the end of March 2023 when the clause on the stadium ends, where Gold and Sullivan will no longer be penalised if they were to sell West Ham United for 300 million or more. It sounds like Sullivan is going to stay, regardless of what happens. Gold, Quite possibly, there's a possibility that Gold might sell some shares, but the sounds of it are that he might hand them over to family, so there'll still be. He's already got his son-in-law on the board of directors at West Ham United, and it's possible that his son-in-law's shares will increase. So there's a chance that Gold might relinquish a few shares, but not Sullivan. No, he ain't going. It'd be very, very surprising as well, unless, of course, a massive bid comes in for West Ham. There's a possibility of that, but I'm not sure it will happen. I think people are hoping because it's 2023. People are hoping for it to happen because of the clause and all that sort of stuff. It won't surprise me if nothing changes. Trudge. Kevin Keane's team are now 15 points clear at the top of the under-18s league. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Having won their opening 10 matches of the season. They are doing superb. Usual suspect. Tasman, 100%. All this started last January. We bought no one. I agree with that. And I remember saying last January, we just need just one player. All we needed was just, anyone. Get someone in on loan just to freshen it up. Because I think we could have possibly won the Europa League. Had we would have been in the effing Champions League if we'd done that. Just one player we needed last January. And it did surprise me with all the injuries we had. I remember talking around November, December last year about the injuries. I think Zuma was out injured at the time and we had several other injuries. And I said, clearly we're going to buy players or get players on loan to fill the gaps of injuries. Nothing happened. I know. I misspelled it. I know. That was ages ago. Goodness me. Henry. Ed, but it's clear as day now. It isn't proactive with substitutions. Takes 3 years to sign a striker and he's weak. It's objective now. Come on. What did Ed say? We got Ed's comments. Well, yeah, that's your opinion. Everyone, look, as I always say, everyone has different opinions, don't they? But anyway, Kent, Agristel ruined Aguerd and now he's ruining Scamacca. Aguerd got his move in a 4-3-3. Luca got move in a 4-4-1-1, 4-4-2 with Raspadori. Getting close to him. Moyes don't play strikers right. He doesn't. As we all know, Paqueta, everyone's beginning to question Paqueta now. He's no good, is he? Look, simple. Paqueta played for AC Milan in a similar system to West Ham. Didn't suit him. He went to Lyon, playing in a 3 in midfield. He was great. Now, we knew this when we bought him. And I remember doing a scouting report when we were linked to him and talking about his strengths, how he plays, etc., and the best way and the way to get the best out of him. What happens? He comes in, played as a number 10. He's not a number 10. What Paqueta does, as you saw in the World Cup, okay, you're not afforded the same amount of time as maybe in internationals and maybe in other European leagues. The Premier League is a lot faster and you may not be afforded the same amount of time. But Paqueta's skill is in the center circle, picking the ball up, spraying the ball around, setting up play, getting the ball, setting up play. He is not a number 10 where he sits behind a front man. I remember the Brazil game. I can't remember which one it was when he's more or less controlling the game from the 18 from the center circle. And then in the second half, when he moved forward, it's because the whole of the Brazilian team did. So they just took a couple of steps forward to be more attacking. Use him in that way. Look at how he's being used, and that might give use Scamacca in the right way, use Paqueta in the right way. These players are not cheap, 50 million for Paqueta, 35 million for Scamacca. Use them in the right way and see what might happen. Sorry, I don't want to go off on one, but there you go. Let's scroll down a little bit. Who we got? Oh, Mandy. Good evening to you. Hi, Stel. Where and what is this issue? Right, he's got a calf injury, apparently. And this calf injury, apparently, he's had a recurrence. What recurrence? I don't know. I talked about it in length a couple of weeks ago, and I don't understand it, because a calf injury, if it's really, really serious, a calf injury, you're going to be out for around about 3 months or longer. It's almost been that October, November, December, yeah. So it was more serious than we were told. Apparently it was innocuous. If it was innocuous, it would have been back after 4 or 5 weeks. It's been now nearly 10, 11, 12 weeks, and he still won't be back until mid-January. Calf injury. There you go. Ed, Henry, I meant Moyes out. I don't mind if other fans have a different opinion. That doesn't mean they don't have the club's interest at heart. Everyone, I think, and this is the one thing, it's this. I didn't want to touch on it, but I might as well. I think the one thing that's happened to the West Ham fan base at the moment, especially on social media, is it seems to have divided the fan base. If you're not Moyes out, it seems that you know you don't care about the club's future, or if you're Moyes in, you don't care about the club's future. We're all West Ham fans. We all care about the club's future. We all care about the club going forward and improving and doing better. We can still have the Moyes out or the Moyes in approach. You know, I think quite clearly there are far less Moyes ins now than there were. Even I'm, you know, like I said, I've got to take those splinters out of my ass because I've been sitting on the fence for far too long. But there's nothing wrong with having that opinion. It doesn't make you any less a fan. It doesn't make you, not want the club to improve. Of course, you want to improve. My stance was, I'm hoping that Moyes will change it round, you know, and improve the club. We had 2 great years. Surely he can change it round. Now I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking, quite possibly not. Friday, as I said, is going to be a big test. Vinay. Nice if Scamacca is used properly. I wonder why that's not happening. What could it be? I just can't work it. Stale tactics again. No idea. Who's responsible? I don't know, mate. Tell me, Vinay. Who's responsible? Daniela, I'd just like to say I hope all West Ham fans in North America are safe from the harsh. My goodness me. I saw the news earlier today. Someone opened their door and they had just a block of snow. What? It's serious. I hope you're all okay. Kevin, Keith, any new? Yeah, I've given it, mate. More operations. Oh dear. Trudge, has Zuma got knees like Lady? Well, apparently he does have a special training regime. Apparently, so I don't know. I don't think they're quite as bad, but they're not far off it. Sharky, good evening to you. Sharky, have you got a spanner next to your name? I want to know. If you have, meet our new moderator. Welcome, Sharky. Debbie and Mark, I think, and don't get me wrong, Thilo is a good right back, but I think he has some attributes to be playing in that central defensive midfield role and control the midfield possibly, but that's just me. No, it's a very interesting point because I read that earlier today, that quite possibly someone else recommended that maybe he'd be suited to a central defensive midfield role. Why not? Why not? Isn't it interesting when a defender is not defending so well, all of a sudden we say, take him out of defense and put him in a central defensive midfield role, because when he makes a mistake, it might not be as bad as when he makes a mistake as a defender. But I think it's a good call. It's interesting. Yeah, I think it's a good call. Good evening to you, Sahel. I hope you're well. Say, Claire, you want 4 hours for Benny? Don't be shy. No, not at all. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I think Benny and 4 hours and Bowen can all support Scamacca, to be quite honest with you. I think Benny is our best player at the moment. There's no reason to take him out of the starting 11. Absolutely not. I think if you sacrifice anyone, you sacrifice Soucek. You know, my starting lineup or my midfield and attack would be Paqueta and Declan Rice in the middle of the park. I put Bowen out right. I put Ben Rama out left. I put Fornals in the middle, and I put Scamacca up front. Why not? So you got it wrong there, sir. So it did work. Good. I'm pleased. Well done. Don't go kicking everyone out just for the sake of it, just because they're always out. Even they watch the show. I'm kidding. Lawrence, not bad now, but it was bad a few days ago. What? I hope you're better, mate. In America. Yeah, mate, do take care. Tasman. Moyes won't give the youth a chance. He thinks they all have attitude problems and it's not like it used to be. No, you're right, Moisey. Things have moved on, unlike you. You know, I don't know. I know, isn't it interesting? Because one thing that we've always been told is Moyes is careful as to who he buys. And maybe he's doing the same with the squad. I heard some news about one of our central defenders who was like, we waxing lyrical about him 2 seasons ago, but he's completely fallen out of favour. I'm not going to name him because I don't want anyone to start thinking. But it's just one of the young players, and apparently he has an attitude problem, and he's been completely taken out of all the teams as well. And it looks like we're going to loan him out. It's a shame, but yeah, you're right. You know, if players have an attitude problem, that's when you need to put your arm around them and talk to them about how it could be for the future if they just knuckle down. Vinay, Arsenal improved and West Ham got worse. It's an act of God. It's like the weather, 3rd highest spend in the world, but it's just bad luck. You've made your point, Vinay. Stephen, a world-class manager will make a world of difference to us. Will not happen with this board. Well, you know, this is another interesting thing, and I'm putting a script together. I'll probably do it for tomorrow as to the managers that may be available that could come to West Ham United, because I think the board, they've had their fingers burnt. Let's not forget what happened when we got what's his name in after David Moyes, and he spent a hell of a lot, Pellegrini, and he spent a hell of a lot of money, and it all went tits up. And I think the board have got that on their minds, and they're thinking, we don't want to go down that road again. I hope if and when we do replace Moyes, that they are very careful as to who they choose. And I just wonder, maybe they're thinking the manager that we want isn't available at the moment. Could be that. Victor, will nobody be given the job of sacking Moyes as interim? Would look at Kevin Keane. Kevin Keane's an interesting shout. Certainly not Mark Robson. I don't think Mark Robson's doing well with the under-21s. Is that a bit too much of a leap for Kevin Keane? Maybe. I don't know. But will Moyes sack Moyes? Will sack Moyes? No, the board would have to do that. Mandy. Fornals was in form, scoring goals. Downs was showing signs of becoming a brilliant number 8. Start them both with Rice. We cannot play Benny and Paqueta in the same team right now. We can if Paqueta plays deeper. But then that would be to the detriment of not playing Downs, I must admit. Lee, hi, still. What do you think of the tactics in the last 2 seasons and not working? Why do you think the tactics in the last 2 seasons not working this season? All we want, what is best for our club? I don't know, mate. I know there's all this talk about settling players in, but other teams have had the same issues settling players in. I just think, I think a lot of people, what they say is possibly quite right. It's not getting players to play to their strengths. Kent said it. I said it about Allaire, seemingly doing the same for Scamacca. Isn't it interesting? David Moyes, before the season started, that one of the things he said is we need to change the way we play. He said that himself. We can no longer play on the counter-attack because people have found us out. So we need to find a different way of playing. So out he goes, buys players to play a different way of playing. But unfortunately, we're not playing a different way. And I think that's the thing. I think, if our backs are, he may go back to what we were doing last season. He may always been trying to do it where we try and hit teams on the counter attack, but they kind of sussed us out. So we need to find a different way. He's got the players, he's got the squad. I almost don't mind if we don't get another player in the January window. Use the players that we've got to better effect. John, good evening to you. Evening all. Just goes to show how many badges do you need to perform that badly. Let's scroll down. Good evening to you, 2007. We need to stop playing negative football and try 2 up front. I don't mind not playing 2 up front. I think, not a lot of teams do, to be quite honest with you. And that's not always the answer. But certainly play players a lot closer to Scamacca if Scamacca does play. Give him an opportunity to get involved in the game. Give the likes of Ben Rama and Bone, etc., the freedom to get closer to Scamacca, to support him. I don't really care about necessarily playing 2 up front. It's not always the answer, but to certainly give Scamacca more support. Mark, good evening to you. Still very weak in defence, left and right back, and haven't seen our best centre backs play together. That is very true, Mark. And I did say the thing that still concerns me, even during the mid-season friendlies, was that our defence looked the shakiest of everything. All right, we're not scoring goals, but at the same time, we're still conceding too many. And I think our defence, you're right. I wonder what it will be like when Aguerd finally comes back. But we've waited half a season for him to come back to really find out. Jonathan, what I was saying is Moyes has a pattern of giving youth 5 minutes against the big teams, then they don't play again. So don't expect don't expect Mbama to get a proper chance. Yeah, this is my concern. And I've said that as well, Jonathan. And I said earlier, does that mean it's the last that now that Mbama has had his 5 minutes in Premier League debut? Is that the last we're going to see of him? Victor, I want to see a manager that can make tactical changes during a game. Again, Moyes made his first change on 78 minutes when we're already 3-1 down. Should have done it at 1-1, but he did nothing, just sat there. That did fuck me off. I won't lie. It was like I was looking over at 2-1 thinking, come on then, you're going to change it now. And it was too late, far too late for him to make changes. Chris, if I was the manager, I would have sold Rice last season or the gas up his arse. He has gotten to his head. Let him go. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a very, very interesting one. Mandy, put Antonio where Cornet was playing on the left wing. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. Maybe. Good evening to you, Will. Oh, let's see, Paul. Moyes is done. Rice is done. Will, good evening to you. Evening still, late as usual. Just I was early, mate. I came on 5 minutes before 9. Well, no, I didn't really. Matt, Benny should start. publicly criticising Moyes. It was horrible for Moyes to come out with Benny's pass to right. Like, mate, come on. Tasman, 2 reasons why Rice isn't performing. 1, Noble isn't holding his hand anymore. Good point. 2, he wants out and shouldn't be captain. I agree with but certainly the first one. Whereas last season he had more Noble sort of advising him, etc. He doesn't have that anymore. Maybe he'll get that when Noble comes back. Maybe. And then making him captain, knowing I guess I kind of get the logic. Make him captain, show him that he's loved, etc., etc. Hopefully he'll sign that extended contract. It hasn't worked, and now are we paying the price for it? V-Night, any truth Benny turned up to training wearing Graham, we are fast sinking ship and we can't carry passengers, so it's Antonio out for me. Sad to say that, but it's over for him. Mandy, Antonio left wing, Bowen right, Scamacca and Benny behind Downs, and good, interesting, yeah, interesting. Jonathan, don't want Rice to go, but his head has been turned, and we should strip him of the captaincy. Can't have a captain who wants to go away. Yeah. Mandy, Paqueta subsequent. It's going to be interesting to see what Moyes does. As I said earlier, if his back's against the wall, he might start looking at the players that will put their foot in. And I wonder if Paqueta and Benny might be victims of that. I don't think they should, but I get why people might think Paqueta should be on the bench. Usual suspect. Under this regime, good players are now bad players. It really is time for a change. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Ron, what are we up to? Christ, I'm 20 minutes behind. How did I manage that? Rhonda and Tony, when you get so many new players, there's always a risk that it can kill team spirit. So it's up to the senior players to get things up. Good point. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Let's scroll down. Schmiegel, how are you? I hope you're well. I watched Clarence and Boo's phone in live stream last night, and this guy in there said he spoke to Benrahma after one of the games, and he asked him what he thought of Moyes and Benrahma. Said he hates him. Do you think that's true? I don't think a player will come out. I think quite possibly what he thought of Moyes and Benrahma said it's quite possible, but would someone actually admit to that? I don't know. I don't know. Daniela, Mandy G, Man United cannot offer 35 million for Gakpo. They don't have the money for the likes of Rice. They certainly wouldn't have it now. They might have it in the summer. AI Riches, good evening to you. Where were you? Upton Park, October 1975. Well, I was 12 then, so probably at home. Let's scroll down. Victor, people keep on about the captain. We have 10 other outfield players. Can't any of them take responsibility? Why do they need the captain to smack their ass? No, I agree. That's a good point. But at the same time, you do look at, that's what a captain's there for. A captain's there to inspire the team, to get the team going, etc. So I think that a captain does have responsibility to get the team going, but I get your point. Other players should step up to the plaque as well. Rod, good evening to you. Don't like the way Moyes disses Benrahma constantly. I agree. I don't either. Victor, people keeping on about the captain. We have 10 other. Oh, sorry, I've done that one already. Right, let's do the last bit of news, which is just a few transfer stories. Nothing big, really. One you've already heard about, and the other one that came out today. Craig Dawson, it looks like he's definitely going to be leaving for in January, or it sounds like it, and it looks like he may be Wolves bound. Now, if he does go, I think it sounds as if David Moyes will have, or whoever is going to be in charge, will have someone lined up to replace him, because we're not going to let him go unless we find a replacement. Look, Kurt Zuma should be coming back soon. Aguerd, we've already talked about coming back imminently. Tilo Kehrer is already back. And we've got Ogbonna as well. But Dawson is above Ogbonna. So at the moment, with all the players back, Dawson will probably be, third or fourth choice centre-back when everyone's back fit? Because I think Zuma and Aguerd will be David Moyes' ideal or preferred centre-backs. Dawson's been a great servant to us, but we know he wants to go. But if we've got a replacement for him, I think it's a badly kept secret that he'll probably go in January. Now, this story came out today, and I've been a bit dismissive of transfer stories, because it's like, really? Moyes has already said we haven't got any money, etc., etc. So how much substance will there be to any transfer stories? But this one's an interesting one, and this is about Sasa Lukic. And the only reason why it's interesting is because he currently plays for Torino. Now, Serbian international Lukic, we saw him, how he played in the World Cup. No, hang on a minute. Did I say Serbian? I shouldn't have done. But anyway, he's a fantastic player for Torino, and because Vlasic is currently at Torino, it looks like there may be a deal where we might swap players. Now, I was asked a few weeks ago, will Vlasic go to Torino in the January window? And I suggested not, because that would mean that Torino would have to pay his whole wages. We're subsidising his wages at the moment, and I thought that would scupper any deal happening in January, but certainly happening in the summer. Now, with a swap deal, a potential swap deal for Lukic, that might happen. Because he's Torino are looking for something like £15 million for the player. They're looking to sell him for around 15 million. You know, we valued Vlasic at around 12, 13 million, something like that. So if we do a swap deal and then give Torino 2 or 3 million on top, it could be possible that he could become a West Ham player. Look, one of the players that we know is not doing well at the moment is Souček. Lukic could come in and replace Souček in that midfield berth. He can play in a number of roles in midfield, defensive midfield, number 8, attacking midfield, etc. So we probably add something to West Ham United, a little bit of that sort of strength that we're currently missing. Maybe someone that can come in could be a future replacement for Declan Rice as well. You know, Torino are trying to get the player to sign a new contract with him. His contract is until 2024, so he's still got a year and a half left on it. But he's not agreeing on any new deal. And I think Torino are looking quite possibly at selling him and making some money off him rather than his value diminishing in the summertime. So that's the only real story I thought that was worth mentioning, because it could potentially be a swap deal plus a few million on top for Vlasic. Then it's quite possible that we might see someone like Sasa Lukic coming in. Now, I know there are a whole load of striker stories coming out, etc. Ben Brereton Diaz and El Naziri and all that sort of stuff. First of all, I doubt very, very much that Ben Brereton Diaz would be allowed to go from Blackburn. What are they, second in the league or something like that in the Championship, trying to fight to get promotion? Brereton Diaz is absolutely vital to their season. They would risk letting him go at the end of the season if it meant promotion for them. So I can't see Blackburn doing any deals for him. And Naziri, well, of course, he's had a great World Cup and apparently he's worth £40 million again. Well, he ain't. You know, and I doubt very much we'd want to pay that sort of money for En-Nesyri anyway. We didn't want to pay, 30 million for him last summer. So it's unlikely we're going to pay 40 million for him now. So there are other stories out there. I've kind of deliberately not sort of included them in tonight's show. I thought the Lukic was an interesting one purely because there's a possible swap deal with Vlasic involved. Let's scroll down. Chewbacca, good evening to you. I hear Benny said to Moyes we need flair. Next training, he presented all the players with a brand new pair of flares. James, plain and simple, we've gone back to before Moyes was here for the first time. Heads dropped, devoid of ideas, and just don't look fit enough to compete. The running, that's the one thing that Moyes did interestingly say when he took over. Like, we weren't running enough, and now we're one of the teams that doesn't run enough again. It's weird, isn't it? Schmeigel. Moyes has a 42.48 career with win percentage. Not exactly great, over 1,000 games managed in his career, and he has drawn and lost more games than he has actually won. You know, ironically, that's actually not a bad that's not a bad stat for Premier League managers, to be honest with you. Well, certainly for teams in mid-table, etc. Mandy, didn't Frankfurt bring in a couple of players in January for the Europa campaign? Lyon got Martial on loan. They did, and Frankfurt brought in someone from a Russian team, didn't they? Is it? I was going to say Ete or someone like that, but yes, they did, and they went on, didn't they? They went on to do better. Well, Lyon didn't, but Frankfurt did. Mandy, if he is a number 10 for us, so why did we buy? If he isn't a number 10, well, I don't know, Mandy. To be honest with you, because all the scouting reports indicated that he's not actually a number 10. He plays in a deeper role. So did we need him? I don't know. Was he a Moyes buy? I don't know. Schmeigel, it sucks that we're in such a bad position because the amount of quality players who are out of contract next year is insane. Well, it's another rebuild next year. You know, I've alluded to it in previous shows. You know, at the end of this season, we got up to 7 players out of contract. And not only that, then we're likely to lose Declan Rice, and we might lose other players who are not out of contract. So it's another rebuild. It will be another rebuild in the summer. Tasman, Moyes has 6 weeks to change things around and make plans for when he came back. What did he do when he went on holiday and didn't change a thing? He's lost the dressing room, buys players just to change. Let's scroll down. Ballon, good evening to you. Declan out, cash in. We're not his apprenticeship. He spends more time being aggressive to his teammates and opposition. Interesting insight. But Richard, good evening to you. I'm Moyes, blah, blah, blah. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Richard again. Everyone should be allowed their opinion. We're all West Ham, but something needs to change. Why is he so blind? What's going on? Is he deluded? Yeah, it's worrying, and even I admit it now. I'm worried. Kevin, Moyes bought a centre-back and Akahim, if it only to play in goal. Moyes bought a centre-back and Akahim, if only, mate, you got to write that. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Sorry, I apologise. Mandy, we have a Brazilian playmaker who cannot get out of our half and is asked to chase the ball. He doesn't have to chase players all over the middle when playing for Brazil as a number 8 still. I know. I'm not saying he does. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm saying is he plays for Brazil. He plays in the centre of the park, sprays the ball around. That's what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting he has to run around chasing players, but I know that's what Moyes prefers. Ballon. So many poor performances against Arsenal in his slates. Benrahma, sick of Moyes. Souček is crap. Moyes says nothing. Rice was appalling. Second half, Moyes says nothing. Agreed. Said that earlier in the show, mate. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with you. Peter, we had it before where we attacked at pace and high line, but Moyes doesn't play that way. I know what's that? What has changed apart from the personnel? Surely, I don't know. Surely we can still play that way. Tasman, does anyone else think Cornet and Carroll are brothers from different mothers because they both love a physio room? I bet Moyes Victor drops Benny for 4 hours on Friday. Moyes had another dig at Benny on Monday. Yeah, we heard that. He shouldn't drop Benny, but I do want to see 4 now start, but not at the expense of Benrahma. Let me scroll down, and then we can. Good evening, Mr. Rupert. I thought you were working. I hope you're well. Got some turkey curry for? No, mate. Turkey curry. We didn't have turkey this year. I don't care much for turkey, to be honest with you. John, for me, Down's in for Rice and put Rice in the defence with Dawson. We have enough midfield. That's an interesting shout. Why not? Why not? Whilst we're waiting for our for Zuma and Aguerd to come back fit. Oh, good shout. Yeah, I like that. Funky T. Easy way to sack Moyes, but without a plan going forward. It's just cutting your nose off to spite your face, just to please people. If I saw someone decent coming in, then I may agree for a change. Yeah, good call. Chris Green. It scares me we are offloading doors to a relegation rival. It's interesting because I thought Dawson, I said I didn't think anyone played well on Monday night against Arsenal. But if at a push, if I'm really pushed, I would say maybe Dawson was one of our better players. And yet, even he's not been playing that well this season. So it shows how badly everyone else has been playing. If we get someone in that's going to be as decent or better than Dawson, then let him go. But if we don't get anybody in, or if we get someone worse in, then that would concern me. Peter, Moyes went to Qatar to buy a property. Keith, I think the way Moyes keeps digging out Benny is disgraceful. Bullying in the workplace, constructive dismissal, any other job, and Moyes will be in the shit. Absolutely, it's true. I don't like the way he digs him out. Ed, to Steve, there aren't that many people called Dave who just happen to speak Maghrebic Arabic. Well, I don't know. I know he's Serbian. I did say I said it and then I hesitated. But you're absolutely right. He is Serbian. Vinay, Steve Brown needs to exaggerate the story too. Not only did he say he hates him, but he called him a son of a dinosaur dung deal. Let's scroll down a bit more. Who have we got here? Good evening to Disabled Team. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Sniffer. Paqueta plays on the right side of a 3. Yeah. Play in the half space, loves to cut in and use that sweet left foot of his. Then use him in that way. I said earlier on, even if we go with a 4-3-3, because then you can play Paqueta, Downs, Rice, and then Bowen, Benrahma, and Scamacca up front. That means no 4 nows, but all right. Then Paqueta, 4 nows, and Rice. It doesn't matter, but use him in the right sort of way. I agree. Richard, Dawson going as a worry at Arsenal. The only one who gave a shit was Dawson and Soufal. Good evening, Chris. Thank you for joining, mate. I hope you're well. Kevin, Moyes brought in a centre back and asked him if it's okay for playing goal. I got you now. Thank you for thank you for that. Right, I'm down near the bottom. Peter, why can't we have a force manager? We have a force number 9. Tasman, everyone slags off Socha ever since he was restricted. Maybe if he was given the free role again, he could return his form. Just saying. I did say that, and even I got slated for that, Tasman. So I kind of agree with you there. Chewbacca, Brazil is not West Ham. It's impossible to judge Paqueta for Brazil and West Ham. It's chalk and cheese. Well, you can still play players that in their to their strengths, can't you? You know, and if he was played to his strengths, we might see a very different Paqueta. Malcolm, need younger legs either side in defence. Drop Creswell and Soufal. Lanzini in for Souček. Tasman, V-Night, Soufal will improve when the new manager comes in. Tasman, when we play, what game do you think Moyes is watching? Because it certainly isn't West Ham. Richard, I'm off now, Stel. Don't rant. I'm not. I'm not doing that again, because I think those who watched the show a couple of weeks ago will know I went into one and I feel embarrassed that I did. Disabled team. I think West Ham could get a result against Brentford still. Brentford aren't the same away from Lego Stadium, and then they turn up at West Ham and they are the same, mate. That's the bloody problem. Lee, hit the like. I never do it. Please, you know, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're not new, or even if you are new, hit the like button, hit the bell notification to let you know when I'm next on. Thank you for that, Lee. Cue the Titanic theme tune. Chewbacca. I don't think Paqueta is going to settle at West Ham. He will leave in the summer. I might make you right. Even if another manager does come in, I think you might be right. Right. That's it. Thank you very much, people. I hope you enjoyed the West Ham midweekly. It was a pleasure to do it. I'll be back again next Monday. I'll do another couple of pre-recorded shows in between. But if I don't see you live before the new year, then have an absolutely fantastic Happy New Year to you all. Enjoy. Keep safe. Keep well. For those of you going on Friday, come on, West Ham. Let's do it. And thank you all. Thank you all for the chat. Thank you all for getting involved. Really much appreciated. And I'll see you all very soon. Happy New Year, and come on, West Ham, for fuck's sake, give us a New Year's gift, eh?